Greetings from Mobility Outlook and welcome to Mobility Conversations. Today we are at IIT Madras Research Center and IIT Madras Incubation Cell, and we are with Professor Ashok Jhunjhunwala. He is head of IIT Research Center, Madras Research Center, and also Incubation Cell. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Professor, I was enthralled to understand the success rate of this incubation cell. 82%, of which 40% are doing extremely good. So, if you can throw a little more light on how this center could able to achieve that particular success milestone.
So, we have had 275 companies. Today, value of these companies is 33,000 crore rupees. And yes, we have 82%. This company is still surviving after almost several years. I think the key thing is it starts from day one. Even when you admit the company, you actually do not admit the companies easily. You do a pushback, sort of saying, are you really ready? We mostly take first generation entrepreneurs. Most of them are fresh students, a large percentage engineering students. But the key thing that we keep asking, are you really ready? We try to push them back and do not make it easy for them. Mostly incubators are supposed to make things easy. We have believed that don't make it easy. You have to really do all the guidance in a manner that they understand the kind of difficulty that is there in really making a startup successful. If they don't do it right on day one, then there is a problem. So we, even admitting we don't do it easily, we kind of keep pushing them. We don't give them money easily. We provide them all kind of advice, support, all kind of things, except giving them easy money, giving them, basically we don't admit them easily. That's a key thing. Then we nurture them very well, very carefully figure out what each person needs, where are the weakness, and how do we really strengthen them. That clear nurturing, it takes a lot of effort. We ourselves learned a lot. Without that nurturing, things don't work out. Mostly it is believed that incubation, you give some incubation money and then they will be on their own. We don't believe that. We believe these are first generation entrepreneurs. They will need a lot of handholding. So that's how we actually work.
What are the pain points, initial pain points for the entrepreneurs?
All the pain points. First of all, the first question that we ask them, how many times have you failed in the past? Do you know to fail and get up after failure and try again? And we tell them, no company is successful without multiple failures. You have to prepare them for failures and to get up after failures. You have to teach them everything. How do they survive without money? You don't make it easy for them. You try to get them to understand cash flow. You understand profit and loss. You get them to understand what is the market. What will market accept? What will be product margins? What are the difficulties that you'll have in collection even? Put everything in front of them. And then learn. And then we do two things. One, we get them to get each one of them to learn from the other. We create groups. And second, we try to teach them. We teach them discipline. From day one, there is a mentor, and mentor plays a huge role in making them successful. And our mentors are very carefully chosen. We watch how mentors interact with the incubatees. If we find that the mentors are not doing an adequate job, we change them. The biggest thing is that creating a successful enterprise basically means that you need to be able to innovate, not just innovate, but also to be able to manage all aspects. And this is finance, product development, market, manufacturing, selling, keeping team Tomorrow your team can walk out. All these things can become important. And ups and downs of the company. These are things.
What I see is typically these startups, since we in the media we get to know about a lot of companies, and then they have tall claims. Some, but is it typical of?
That's what we try to avoid. We try to tell them there's no point in trying to. What most other incubators we found is that first they give easy money. Number two, they try to get them to make tall claims. It hurts finally. The companies don't become successful.
That's the ecosystem.
Ecosystem and the companies also. We try to tell them underplay a little bit in the beginning. Steady yourself, become strong, and then you go all out. Get to a stage where you are really ready. Then nothing should stop you.
There are several fields. What are the fields that or the faculty that this incubation cell is involved in?
The good part is almost all engineering field we work. We work in all deep tech field, which basically means other than e-commerce, we work almost in every area. Every area we have found, we have been surprised that each area companies can become very successful. There is a company which 9 of our students who worked in Wipro for more than 10 years and were basically top software engineers, left that company and formed the company called Stellabs. It works on cattle farming. How to go to a village and get the cattle farm to yield the best quality milk at the best quality milk and get them to get the right prices. And it is supporting that. And today it is doing extremely well.
Any particular segment or industry like automation, automotive or manufacturing, there is more pronounced here?
The good part is that we have succeeded in almost everyone. We have failed also in everyone. But failure has been very few. Succeeded in almost everyone. That's what we really get people to train, they don't give up. Try again, try again, try again. Keep learning, don't just repeat. Learning, change what you're going to do, but do again. And since they come at a very young age, we find that they can afford to do it. If they came at older age, they will not be able to do that. So that's what has been the reason.
So is there a minimum duration that you will handhold and then give it?
No minimum duration. We handhold them all the way up to the time they succeed.
Okay, succeed meaning the commercialization and
they
then
have to do commercial success. They get good valuation, they get good market traction, start doing very well. We actually support them even later. Okay. They are our companies. It's like our children. I mean, you don't stop at any point.
Okay. And if at all there is a patent by the company, the startup, how will it be his individual patent or?
That varies. Sometimes they work with IIT, so it can even be joint patent, but they are given commercial rights. Other times, mostly the startup which has done the work, then patent is theirs. So we don't have any fixed formula.
Okay, great. Let me now ask you about mobility. In the mobility segment, how do you see the startups proliferating? Because the new mobility is being talked about for more than 5-6 years now.
Well, it is fairly well understood that the vehicles, all auto sector is going to become electric. Now, electric vehicles may be driven by batteries. I can say could even be driven by hydrogen tomorrow. We are not concerned. But either batteries or hydrogen, it is going to be electric vehicles. They will all require motors and controllers. They will require either batteries or hydrogen. Hydrogen, we are still not any far away because the costs are still very high, but batteries are well understood. And they will require all chargers and controllers. Our focus is on these subsystems. We want to make the best motors and controllers in the world. Best batteries suited to our environment, working at 48 degrees centigrade and still having long life and lowest possible cost. Chargers, whatever is required. We are not bothered about which standard India chooses. Whichever they choose, we kind of can make that. Because what we did right in the beginning, that we actually developed the charger as per Japanese standard, Chinese standard, European standard. And today it is a mix and match of all of that. So we can actually do that. And then the controllers and a lot of software. And then do it for all kind of two-wheelers, three-wheelers, small four-wheelers, large four-wheelers. We can even do for large vehicles. So, and it's step by step, we have to work on, of course, policy. We have worked on fixed battery with charging or battery swapping. We work on all kinds of things and keep thinking what will make it work and not work. Battery is the only expensive element in all this. Rest of the costs are lower than the IC engine vehicle. And batteries costs are, of course, falling. Last year or two, it has not fallen very much because of the whole market disruption, but this is going to continue to fall.
I think you have started this EV or electric mobility related center.
Center for Battery Engineering Electric Vehicles.
Yeah, that's in 2016 or 17.
15, in fact.
15, okay. So far, if you can share a little bit about the journey and then the significant milestones that you...
So I think today, we are on the way to make the best motors and controllers in the world. Most efficient and very cost effective. Our target is in quality, it should be like the German quality. Prices, it has to beat Chinese prices. That's the only way India will win.
That's a great combination.
And this is what we are trying to do in motors and controllers. From fundamental, the team of 25-30 people that we have been just driving. Two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, larger motors and controllers. We have really understood that extremely well. In fact, we teach a course on electric vehicles and renewable energy. Last semester when we taught the course, 26,000 students from all over the country registered for it. Many of the CEOs of the companies and managing directors of the company registered for the course. Okay. So the knowledge about electric vehicle, every element of electric vehicles actually came through that. And that's where we are linking it. Like for example, we taught how those kind of motors can be made. How can they be made most efficient? Because why the efficiency of the motor matters? Because if you make that more efficient, you will require smaller size battery, which will reduce costs. So motors and controllers, I think we are making very good, and one by one we are commercializing and moving fast. And we find that motors and controllers, while electric vehicles of course is our first effort, but even it is required in mixers, it is grinders, all kinds of things in variety of apps. So we are actually doing that. We are now doing it for drones. So we are doing a whole variety of motors and controllers. We have understood it well, and from scratch we are developing motors and controllers. Next comes battery. We don't make cells. Cells is what we purchase, but the rest of it, again, we have come out to be the best. And it has taken us a long time to learn. We made lots of mistakes. We made a mess, and we will get up and redo it. Our objective is the most cost-effective battery at good quality, decent lifetime. Decent lifetime, that becomes very important. And therefore, we look at every aspect. The most difficult aspect is first thermal management. In India, thermal management of a battery plays an important role in the life of a battery. We have seen that if you don't manage thermal, and the external temperature goes to 45, 47, 48 degrees centigrade, the battery goes for a big hit. And yet we have to avoid accidents all the time. That's another thing that we have to do. Lots of accidents we have found, and we pretty much understand the reason for these accidents. So once we understand that, you have to make efforts to avoid that. The other thing is we have our motors undergo huge vibrations. And because our roads are rough, most batteries are not designed for those vibrations. We ensure that our design of pack is such that in spite of the vibration, the life does not get impacted. Something that we had in early part ignored, and we actually during COVID time we got hit, because once the shutdown took place, when we opened, most of our battery was gone. And we learned that electrical design plays a very important role. We had earlier thought, what is their electrical design? We have to just connect them together. We need to design the bus bars and connection. We found that milliohms of resistance, or even 0.1 milliohm of resistances, make a difference in battery design, because the currents are large. We tend to make the battery smaller and make the currents larger. Therefore, it has to be extremely carefully designed. We actually found that in that, some of the Chinese designs were very good. While they didn't design the best BMS and all that, but the electrical design was very good. And we learned from that, and we figured out, because Germans were anyway good, and we are now designing very good battery. Then of course, protection and BMS, both the cell balancing as well as ensuring that no accident takes place, shut down the battery when it reaches risk. Every aspect we have done. The charger, as I pointed out, the key issue was what standard? Correct. We were somewhat neutral. Whatever market decide, whatever country decides, because we had actually developed the protocol, which is a Chinese protocol, European protocol, and the Japanese protocol. And we could do mix and match also. And then you have to get the right connectors and the right AC to DC converters or DC to DC converters, the power electronics. This is another thing that we started learning and excelling in, and basically soon we had a components of all the parts of electric vehicles, and of course software. We are at the same time starting to work on hydrogen. How do you get hydrogen, green hydrogen, at the lowest possible cost? That is what we are working on. And I think still at high cost, still hydrogen is far away, but we continue to work, because we know the way battery prices went down, tomorrow hydrogen prices can come down.
Little bit on motors. Are you also working on the axial motors? That's been talked about in a big way.
So we are working on all kinds of design. We have to look all the time for this vehicle, what will be the most cost-effective battery to vehicle motors today. Tomorrow I may have another one. So invariably, whether it's axial or non-axial design, we have permanent magnet synchronous motor is what we are using. But we are already working on motors which does not require permanent magnets, or does not require, at least we can use ferrites magnet instead of rare earth element magnets. So we are working, but I think it will take a few more years before we get there.
Though it appears to be very simple, it's a complex, integrating many things. Would the research center, or incubation cell, or the particular center that you have, working on the layout of the vehicle, because and the cabling?
Very important. What we are doing today is we are taking the old autos, Bajaj auto and Piaggio auto, old ones, 7-8 years old, which otherwise would become very problematic. We're taking out the IC engine and putting the complete electric drivetrain, and we are doing retrofitting. We believe that this is a must. Why? Because there are very large number of autos plying. You can't expect them to disappear. They are burning petrol, and as they get older, they are doing worse and worse. If we start converting, a whole tremendous advantages there. We similarly are taking smaller trucks and pickups and trying to see whether we can convert them.
LCV up to LCV?
Yeah, up to LCV. And can we convert them? Again, since we are making the motors and controllers, we are making the batteries, making the chargers and the controllers, we can actually do that. And that's what we are doing. We believe India requires a large push in this area. Unfortunately, FAME has not not sufficiently looked at retrofitting. They came with new vehicle subsidy, and it distorts the market. Whereas, you know, in 5 years you can replace all the current autos to IC engine auto to electric auto. Suddenly we will be pollution free nearly. This is far higher gain than gradually bringing in new electric auto. New electric autos can come in. But what do you do with old ones? They last for 12, 15 years.
So that means you will bring out the retrofit kits?
No, we have done all the kit and are doing it, and we are looking at businesses which will bring in the old vehicle. So driver can come park the old vehicle, in 2 days, 3 days they can take the electric. There will be somebody who will provide the full service. You don't provide the kit. It takes a lot of effort to really put everything and make sure that things are removed and rightly put and maximum best value is obtained. It is non-trivial job. It's not just kit, but of course kit plays an important role, but everything else.
Okay. For two-wheelers, is there a possibility that you are thinking?
It should be possible, but right now our focus is three-wheelers to begin with, and then the goods carrier. Why? Because autos run for long hours. They run 120, 130, 140 kilometers a day. The goods vehicle will run even longer. We are interested in the two-wheeler which are goods, which are like delivery people. We may do retrofitting for that also. But there is a large variance in two-wheelers. Whereas autos, I mean, it's 2 or 3 dominant autos, so it's easier to do that. Similarly, 2 or 3 pickups, trucks, so it's easier to do that.
Coming to batteries, I have a question. IoT enabled, everything is talked about. There are some sensors and cells that communicate to this, BMS, etc., and helping OEMs to understand the vehicle's condition, then take prognostics. Is there a...
So this comes automatically with electric vehicle. I mean, the battery will certainly be intelligent. There is going to be BMS. It will have to put a communication port. Similarly, motors are made intelligence. The controllers has a processor, has to communicate with the battery. So similarly, charger one has to communicate with. So it requires limited effort to try to upload all the data or bring the commands and data from outside. First purpose is just monitoring what is going on. It helps you improve the performance of the vehicle. And then, in fact, tuning the vehicle remotely, trying to see that the best things are done. So I'll say today the communication to electric vehicles should be obvious thing, must be done. You should do data monitoring. You need to learn behavior about the battery. For example, when we run the vehicles inside the campus between IIT Madras Research Park and Incubation and the IIT Madras, we actually collect a lot of data and use this data to learn to make better vehicles.
Let me now ask a little bit about the research park per se. What is the current state? I think I have come here for the inauguration 10, 12 years ago. So it has grown.
We are 90% full. Okay. We have 1.2 million square feet. We are doing financially very well. We've returned all the loan with interest. And we have a large number of companies. And now the key focus is how to make industry and academia to do more and more work towards commercialization. That's what we are trying to do.
Okay, if you can throw a little more light on the success stories from that particular part.
To 250 companies, out of which 100 companies will be the R&D companies and remaining will be the incubated companies. And there is a lot of interworking between these companies and faculty at IIT, between these companies and startups. And there are centers like Center for Battery Engineering Electric Vehicles. There's a lot of work that these companies do with the centers. So this is just expanding rapidly. First 5-6 years we kind of underplayed this because we were more looking at financial viability of this whole thing. And last 5 years or so we started focusing on it. Unfortunately, COVID came at the wrong time and hit us. About 2 years, this actually went reverse. Now it's picking up again. So we are very quickly moving in that direction.
A little bit on the Center for Advanced Manufacturing. Where do you see the potential for the research center to work on, the Center of Excellence to work on reducing the import content?
So see, first and foremost, every machinery we import in India, machinery used for manufacturing, pretty much in any industry, electrical industry, auto industry, everything we import. This is a center which is enabling people to look at that these machines can be made by us. I think that's the first immediate goal that happens. Otherwise, wholesale import is done while setting up a factory. We are starting to get into this. Second, how do you best utilize the machines? What is the optimization of the machines? It was rarely thought about. Out here, they even take a lathe which has accuracy of certain accuracy and improve the accuracy by 4 or 5 times. Today it is possible with processor and artificial intelligence and by the right observation system. So the center is doing extremely well, working closely with industry and moving in this direction.
Yeah, any plans for the incubation cell, the short-term and long-term plans?
Well, incubation cell will, today we are doing 40, 50 companies a year. Our goal is by 2030 we should do 1,000 companies a year. So towards that we need to start scaling from 50 to 1,000. For that, huge. We can't do it just here. So we are creating incubators in tier 2, tier 3 colleges, partnering with them, nurturing, and then bringing them here if required to really scale them further. So and with our experience of doing very well in the past, we just hope that we are able to do this. And can we get to 1,000 incubations a year? If we can do 1,000 startups a year, that will change India. And that's what we are determined to. That is one of the objective or goal that the board has given us.
Wow, fantastic. On this note, Professor Jhunjhunwala, thank you so much for sparing valuable time. Thank you.